Support for Louisiana, the state we're in, is provided by...
Every day, I go to work for Entergy.
I know customers are counting on me.
So Entergy is investing millions of dollars
to keep the lights on
and installing new technology
to prevent outages before they happen.
Together,
we power life.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.
To our abortion ban here in Louisiana.
The governor's last State of the State address.
We long to be in community with these families, so we have special deliveries throughout the year. We have barnyard dances, community events. We have marriage getaways.
A safe haven just south of Alexandria.
We know how to throw festivals and special events here. That's why people love coming.
French Quarter Festival is underway.
For girls that don't have the ability to buy a dress or may not be in that situation, we actually take donations that they can go in and have access to a bunch of dresses.
Introducing this week's Young Hero. Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry is supporting legislation that would publicize juvenile court records.
Yeah, as of now, the records are confidential, but the bill he is backing would release information from 3 parishes where crime is most abundant.
The Advocate reports that critics who oppose the bill say the parishes are predominantly black, and the bill could have adverse effects on the community. Supporters say it'll likely reduce the crime.
And now here are some other news headlines making news across our state.
Sad news for the LSU basketball family and the family of Wayne Sims in particular. The 54-year-old Sims died unexpectedly this week. The DeRidder native starred on 4 consecutive NCAA tournament teams of Coach Dale Brown from 1987 to 91. But the past 4.5 years have been especially tough for Sims and his wife, Faye. Their son, Wade, was shot and killed in an off-campus altercation in 2018, just before what would have been his 3rd season playing basketball at LSU. Faye and Wayne Sims set up the Wade Sims Foundation to honor their son's legacy. A hurricane season forecasted by Colorado State researchers to produce slightly fewer storms has national storm forecasters worried. The Weather Channel's Dr. Rip Nabb says in no way should people relax when hearing such a prediction. The early season forecast calls for 13 named storms, 6 hurricanes, and 2 major hurricanes. In addition to El Nino, sea surface temperatures are very warm in the Atlantic Basin and very warm in the Gulf of Mexico. 3-term Louisiana Attorney General Richard Ayoub died from an aneurysm rupture Monday. He was 78. During his State of the State speech, Governor John Bel Edwards told lawmakers, "If you knew Richard, he was a genuine and kind-hearted man." Edwards appointed Ayoub as the state's conservation commissioner. Ayoub is survived by his wife Caprice and 7 children. LSU students and community members joined the family of Madison Brooks Wednesday for LSU's Take Back the Night event. It's part of Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Brooks, a 19-year-old sophomore at LSU, was struck and killed by a car in January after allegedly being raped by 2 men while 2 others watched. Take Back the Night founder Katie Kessner was the keynote speaker.
Louisiana is again preparing for another fiscal year with 2 months of session. Lawmakers will spend most of that time building the financial budget, but this year legislators will also debate topics like capital punishment, climbing insurance rates, and abortion exceptions. In his last State of the State address, Governor John Bel Edwards lists his goals for this year's legislative session.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming?
Monday marked the last State of the State address by Governor John Bel Edwards as his tenure in office comes to an end.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Governor of the great state of Louisiana, the Honorable John Bel Edwards.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, members of the legislature, distinguished guests, and my fellow Louisianans. This is the 8th time I've delivered the State of the State address.
The governor began his speech highlighting his accomplishments in office. He specifically called attention to the budget surplus. When he was first elected, the state was facing a deficit inherited from the Jindal administration.
Let's go back to the very beginning. When I took office in 2016, the state had a $1 billion budget deficit to close out that fiscal year and a $2 billion budget deficit for the following year. Those of you who are lucky enough to be here, you know it took numerous special sessions and a lot of bipartisanship and hard work, but we were able to navigate a balanced approach with no gimmicks and no one-time money spent on recurring expenditures.
The state's current budget sits at a $2 billion surplus, which Edwards' successor will inherit when he leaves office.
Take just a moment and think about that. We came in facing a $2 billion deficit, and we will be leaving more than $2 billion in the bank for the next governor and legislature.
Edwards noted his other accomplished goals, including raising teacher pay and expanding Medicaid, among other things. But for his final legislative session, he outlined a few distinct goals that he called core to his deeply held beliefs. The first was to raise minimum wage to $10 an hour from the federally mandated $7.25.
More than 20 states raised their minimum wage on January 1st of this year, and that doesn't count the many that did so in the years prior, and many states have done it multiple times.
Louisiana is one of 5 states that have not declared a state minimum wage.
You know what? Where I was and what I was doing the last time Congress raised the minimum wage, and by the way, they raised it to $7.25 an hour in 2009. That's what it still is here in Louisiana today. I was sitting at a desk right back there as a freshman legislator.
Next on Edwards' agenda is beefing up benefits for families by supporting legislation for paid family leave. He also asked that lawmakers add exceptions for incest and rape to the abortion ban.
I say this as someone who, as you know, has a very well-documented pro-life record, but I urge you to add rape and incest exceptions to our abortion ban here in Louisiana. This is overwhelmingly supported by the people across our state and people of deep faith everywhere.
His last request was to end the death penalty in Louisiana.
We all know our criminal justice system is far from perfect, but the death penalty is final. Over the same 20 years when we've executed one person, there have been 6 exonerations from death row and more than 50 reversals of sentences and or convictions. Studies show it doesn't deter crime. And we know in 2023, the death penalty isn't necessary for public safety.
Though Edwards seemed enthusiastic about his accomplishments and goals, other lawmakers felt his address failed to highlight other important issues.
He has his own set of facts for how things went the last 4 years, but what's most important is to look at the fact that the problem that he did not mention, which is our out-migration here in Louisiana. We're losing our youngest and our brightest kids to Texas, most recently places like Mississippi. We have to do a better job of rebuilding our infrastructure and creating jobs for the folks out there that are looking for jobs.
Representative Miguez also disagreed with the governor's push for higher minimum wage.
We live in a free market society. I can tell you, if you're looking for a job, there's one out there for you, and it's going to pay higher than minimum wage. Most of these minimum wage jobs are those individuals in high school or college trying to find their first job and trying to build resumes.
On the other side of the aisle, some Democrats were impressed with some of Governor John Bel Edwards' goals, though not with his timing.
It's time for a legacy, and he's done a lot of good with Medicaid expansion, but if he could do something like raise the minimum wage or end capital punishment in the state, I mean, that would be legendary. We'd remember it forever.
2023 is a fiscal session, but each lawmaker can submit 5 non-fiscal bills. This year, we'll likely see a focus on other issues like insurance, criminal reform, and LGBTQ+ issues. This session will end at the beginning of June, and we'll keep you updated on what happens at the Capitol until that time.
In preparing for this interview with our next guest, I found that there was a lot to learn about the work and the reach of the global nonprofit Joni and Friends. Joni and Friends is all about giving practical help to people impacted with disability around the world and also sharing the hope of the gospel. One vital piece of this organization is their summer family retreats, which for the first time now has a home in Louisiana. Just south of Alexandria at the Wesley Center in the town of Woodworth is the home of the Joni and Friends Louisiana Family Retreat. The retreat is described as a haven for families living with disability. Its founder is the esteemed Joni Earickson Tada, who has lived with disability since 1967, when a diving accident left her a quadriplegic. She was 17 years old.
I swam out to this raft anchored a few yards offshore, took a reckless dive into shallow water. I knew then my life had changed forever. My doctor said, Joni, you're going to be paralyzed for the rest of your life, without use of your hands, your legs. And I said, God, I can't live like this. I won't live like this.
But she has, and her story is one of the most inspirational of our time, perhaps of any time. She's become a best-selling Christian author, radio show host, stateswoman to presidents. She helped author the Americans with Disabilities Act. Her best-selling autobiography was made into a feature film. She is CEO of Joni and Friends, a Christian organization which provides programs and services for thousands of special needs families around the world. Services like Wheels Around the World, wheelchairs for anyone in need, anywhere. Martie Kwasny joins me now. Martie, you are the Regional Operations Director for now Louisiana, but also Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. And with this camp coming to Louisiana for the first time, retreat, I should call it, how important is it for our state to have a place like this?
Incredibly important. We are a state where the national average is 1 in 4. We are 1 in 3.
Of people with disabilities?
Yeah, families.
Families.
So 1 in 3 families in our state is touched by disability. Isn't that amazing?
Well, it's amazing because it's not something you see as you go out and about in your life.
I know.
And part of that is that oftentimes people with disabilities are really tucked away in the back of the house.
It's easier to stay home. It's easier to stay home and vacillate in your own isolation.
Well, we've seen what happened to Joni Earickson Tada, and how through this incredible change in her life, this has developed to help others.
Yes.
With all of her many, many talents. And she's an incredibly busy woman. But you're a big part of this organization now. How did you get involved?
Years ago, I read Joni's book. I was in 5th grade in need of hearing something more, something with meaning. And it's kind of directed my path in life. Moving forward, at 40, God moved us to Jackson, Mississippi, and it all birthed then. I got to meet my childhood hero, and I've been with her ever since.
Wow, wow. What other programs exist?
Oh my goodness.
There's so many, right?
Yes. Out of family retreat, we long to be in community with these families. So we have special deliveries throughout the year. We have barnyard dances, community events. We have marriage getaways. We're about to have one in 2 weeks here in Louisiana.
Okay,
And we have
okay.
a siblings retreat in the fall in Louisiana.
Let's talk about the family retreat this summer. How is it set up? What do the kids do? What do the families do while they're there?
Okay, so you do realize most of our families cannot leave their home for a vacation.
Right.
It's difficult. So we pair them
they've
up.
got a child with a disability. That's
Yeah.
24/7, year-round for the rest of their life.
Exactly. And we have some families come in with U-Hauls behind them carrying medical equipment.
Wow.
It takes a community, a village, in order to get them to family retreat, in order to have a vacation. So really that's what it is for these families. They could not afford, many of them couldn't afford a vacation, not because of financial needs, but because they don't have the manpower.
Are there scholarships
Yes.
for this also? Because a lot of
Yes.
families probably can't afford this.
They can't. And that's where my job comes into detail of I ask for donors to sponsor families.
Very
So,
good,
yeah.
very good. What will the kids do? What can they do?
They can do just about any and everything. So there is a no entry pool that they can swim in. There's activities of art, of nature. We even bring a Rosie, which is a apparatus where you can get one from a wheelchair into this apparatus to do a hike through the woods.
And the key is that they have a one special person, a one-on-one volunteer, which each of them.
They have to.
There's a need for volunteers?
A need for volunteers.
For this summer?
So we definitely, a need for the volunteers for those with disability as well as the siblings. So we need volunteers. We can't do it without the help of people in the community.
Where else can people hear about all of this and everything that is all about Joni and Friends?
They can go to Joni and Friends, AND and Friends, .org/Louisiana and find all the information they need.
Okay, it's a huge step forward for our state.
Yes.
Which, once again, we're leading the pack in a statistic we'd rather not lead in.
Right.
More people with disabilities here than the national average.
Right.
But Joni and Friends offers hope and help, real help.
Yes, real help, dignity, and a place for our families to belong.
Martie, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Great to talk to you.
It's good talking to you.
The 40th French Quarter Festival is underway in New Orleans now and over the weekend. The Crescent City expects 500,000 visitors to pour in and sample what is the kickoff of the festival season in New Orleans. And besides a 90% chance of rain for part of tomorrow, things look good in the Big Easy. I talked with Louisiana fiddle queen Amanda Shaw and Kelly Schultz from New Orleans & Company.
Weekend, there are going to be over 20 different stages of music all over the French Quarter. 1,700 musicians are going to be performing, including the energetic and talented Amanda Shaw, and then also 60 different food vendors. So you know how important food is to all of us in Louisiana, and so some of New Orleans' best restaurants will be out on display right here at the French Quarter Festival.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Over 500,000 people expected. That is hard to believe, and more concentrated than a Mardi Gras.
Exactly. The French Quarter, I think, is less than a mile, area itself. And so there will be hundreds of thousands of people here, 20 different music stages. Like Amanda said, you can walk out of your hotel door. There's probably a music stage right there.
That's right.
It's not one of those events that are spread out or where you have to go in some cities and drive from place to place. This is all very compact, very walkable. And that's one of the many reasons people love coming to visit New Orleans.
So why is it so important and so interesting to mix the history and culture within your music?
Yeah, so I grew up playing Cajun music, and I love that Cajun music is so energetic, and I love that it celebrates our history, and I love that it celebrates a tradition. It's one of our oldest traditions here in Louisiana, and as a songwriter, I'm really inspired by that. I want to be able to write music that younger generations can relate to, maybe audiences that have never been a part of our culture before, make them, share it with them and make it familiar to them, and I love that I'm able to do that. Louisiana and New Orleans is an endless source of inspiration for me.
It's interesting that you say that because part of Louisiana is all about passing it on to the next generation, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the birthplace of so many different kinds of music. You've got jazz music, again, Cajun and Zydeco music, everywhere you go, there's just something new, So yeah, being able to carry on that tradition and make it available for future generations, for future fiddle players and, future singers and songwriters.
We know how to throw festivals and special events here. That's why people love coming for Mardi Gras. They love coming here for meetings and conventions because we are so compact. It's not like some cities where you're going to be, in a car going across town to get where you need to be. Everything is right here within a 1 mile area, really, if you're coming here for a French Quarter Fest or a convention or a Super Bowl or something like that.
And there you are with beautiful Jackson Square right behind you. Well, guys, thank you so much. It's always great to hear from you and always great to promote. Really, this is one of my favorite events in New Orleans because of the location and all of the things that are combined into it. And Kelly, where can people get more information about this?
Well, thanks, Andre. People can go to neworleans.com for more.
Okay, sure will. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Our next young hero has been through a lot. He was diagnosed with several health problems and even suffered through an accident that forced him to learn to walk again. But through it all, he gained a respect for those who've struggled and strives to serve them as best as he can. I'm glad to introduce you to Canaan Hoosier.
I would put myself as someone who's always open to new things. I'm always open to the idea of trying new things, never trying to close anything out, and just trying to be accepting of others as much as possible,
These words are what 17-year-old Canaan Hoosier lives by. Being open to trying new things, accepting others. It's a mantra he's learned from being in challenging situations himself. Ones most kids will never experience.
And when Canaan was born, he started having issues, and he had to have 4 eye surgeries, and he broke his femur, and he was in a wheelchair for 3 months, and it was so difficult. It's just your heartstrings, and of course, as a parent, that's your first thing is you hurt for them because you watch them going through it. But then it's also, you have a sense of pride, and you watch them overcome.
These are just a few of Canaan's challenges. He was diagnosed with a learning disorder at a young age, and even battles with an autoimmune disease.
I'd say it gave me more awareness of others, especially who may have disabilities or something of that nature. I feel that I can relate to it more, and really just offer insight more into in how they live and, the things that they may be dealing with as well.
It's this perspective that's motivated Canaan to pursue all he can in life while making it easier for others along the way.
Let's see, well, it may just be that simple, actually, yep.
His plan is to help construct an outdoor classroom at Buckeye High School. The goal is to get kids to learn about the outdoors while being fully immersed in it.
So where those 2 tree lines meet there in the back, it's tucked all the way back there in the corner.
So it's out in the woods?
Pretty much, yes, ma'am. We're going to educate children about their effects on the environment, what they can do to conserve it, and just to learn about it in general.
And when did this get started? Is this something your mom also helped with?
This is something that we both had the idea together, and we kind of got the ball rolling on that. And that was a couple months ago in the making. The land finally got cleared back there, so in the next couple weeks, progress of being built is going to actually start working on that with our classes.
So what's your role in it?
So I'm actually going to be one of the builders who are going to be help construct the little awning area that we're going to have for students to go conduct research, sit around, in the shade. You want to be in the sun all day, but that's going to be my role.
Are you excited?
Absolutely. I love the outdoors. I live for the outdoors.
He also has a passion for fashion. Kind of. He's a volunteer for the Cinderella Closet.
What we do is we prom, obviously, at every high school, and for girls that don't have the ability to buy a dress or, may not be in that situation, we actually take donations that they can go in and have access to a bunch of dresses. Even besides dresses, stuff like shoes for anybody to wear, I mean, it's like entire outfits that you can get yourself here.
How many dresses do you think you have in there? Hundreds, huh?
It would definitely have to be an estimation for sure, but it is hundreds, like you said. My mom usually helps with the dress parts. I try to get some of the accessories because she knows the dresses better than I do.
You think you have good taste?
I try my best to, but I've been told different, so.
Oh, really? If the Cinderella closet sounds familiar, that's because it is. Canaan isn't the first Hoosier young hero. His brother Gabe took the title last year, in part for his work alongside Canaan and their mother, giving girls an opportunity to go to prom.
Once Gabe graduated, Canaan kind of stepped into that role as the National Honor Society president, and now we have 260 dresses that are formals of all shapes and sizes, and the community has been great in opening up, and they know that that's a need, and we love the name Cinderella's Closet because it lets the kids feel like for a day they can be Cinderella.
When Canaan isn't building an outdoor classroom or organizing the Cinderella Closet, you can find him powerlifting or leading EarthLove, an environmental outreach organization that he co-founded. You can also find him leading the National Honor Society at his school. What do you think is the most important extracurricular that you have?
I would say probably directly National Honor Society. I just say because that club alone really gives you the greatest opportunity to go out and help others.
Canaan has some time before he goes off to college. He's still a junior, but he has his eyes set on biology at LSU, so he can continue to serve the community that he loves.
It's quite a family, the Hoosiers. His brother Gabe was a young hero last year.
Yeah, and they're involved in a lot of the same things. They've got this legacy going.
Yeah.
Canaan has volunteered more than 600 hours of his time, and he plans to continue on this path until graduation. LPB's Louisiana Young Heroes program is presented this year with the generous support of AmeriHealth Caritas Louisiana, Community Coffee, East Baton Rouge Parish Library, the U.S. Army Baton Rouge Recruiting Battalion, DEMCO, and Hotel Indigo.
And we have some sad news to pass on, everyone. Chuck Paradan, a fixture on LPB Pledge shows, passed away this week.
Chuck had a lofty career in media. I mean, he worked in radio, He was an anchor, he was a reporter. He worked in Lafayette, Baton Rouge, and Houston, and he had just recently retired from taking advantage of his background in television.
Yeah, he sure did, and he also worked for the CPRA, was passionate about coastal issues, and did that work, retiring just this past year. Chuck Paradan was 71 years old.
And he will definitely be missed.
Sure will be. And everyone, that is our show for this week. Remember to watch any SWI segment on our broadcast. You can find it all on our YouTube page at Louisiana Public Broadcasting/videos. And remember, if you're on the go, keep our LPB PBS app handy.
You can catch LPB News and Public Affairs shows, as well as other Louisiana programs you've come to enjoy over the years. And please, like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
For everyone at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Moreau.
And I'm Kara St. Cyr.
Until next time, that's the state we're in.
Every day, I go to work for Entergy.
I know customers are counting on me.
So Entergy is investing millions of dollars to keep the lights on and installing new technology
to prevent outages before they happen.
Together. Together.
Together.
We power life.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.